teaching you the intro to my newest song, Safe and Dry. If you haven't already done it, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps with visibility, and it makes sure that you'll get the next lesson video. Okay, so this was just a riff that kind of came out of me. I was sitting around and I remembered playing the first chords, and I remembered kind of how I added tension to it. But it came from, I can tell it came from two places in my ear. The first place was wanting to have a chord voicing that was more interesting for guitar for a common chord progression. And the other thing was something, that I commonly do, which is I look for ways of having an ambivalent key center that kind of resolved to a more obvious one. So with this particular riff, I'll show you the ins and outs of it, and I will go kind of step by step into why there's tension in it. But here we go. For the first part, I'm just gonna, by the way, I'm tuned down to C. So that means that the 12th fret on my E string is C. So it's actually drop C. So the rest of the guitar is tuned a half step down, and then the E string is tuned functionally 2 steps down. So you can play it in a different key as long as you tune to a drop D tuning. So if you could do this lick in drop D and it would be fine. But you have to make sure that the E string is a full step below where it would normally be compared to the A string. So it could be drop C, it could be drop D, it could be drop E flat. Okay, so this first chord, the 12th fret. And I'm going to play through that, and then I'm going to grab the 14th fret of the G string. We're going to call this basically a D5, or a C5. And now what happens is, I take my ring finger off that 14th fret on the G string, and I put my middle finger on the 11th fret on the A string. Okay, and when I do that, I also bring my ring finger comes off the G string. So I got, okay, so that part of it, that section right there is literally just, you have what I would call an ambivalent center. When you have a fifth, you have an ambivalent center. If it's just a fifth or it's just a seventh, you haven't articulated the third, which gives it tension. It gives you the chance to articulate the third. So in this specific case, I had what was essentially a C5 chord, and I added on top of it an A flat, which gives it this really nice kind of sharpened sixth kind of thing going on for it. And I like to think about that as kind of like a crazy train sound almost. One way to think about it, it's an augmented sixth. It's an augmented fifth, sorry. It's a flat sixth. It's one of the more tense notes you can hit. So we got, and the cool thing about this chord is that it's pianistically voiced, which means that I did not change the note in the bass. I changed a note that was close to the bass. I changed probably the second note in the progression. It's almost as if I went like this. And what that did is it kept the bass static while also putting another tense note kind of in the bass, which is a cool thing. There's that chord. So we got, and then I played this guy again. This is the open D string, which is tuned to C now, of course, but it goes 12, 14, 11. So we got, same thing again. Now I'm going to move this whole chord down. This is essentially the same as the first chord, just moved down a whole seven. So the best way to think about these chords, is to think about them as coming from the key of C and using both the sharp 6 above it, okay, to draw attention from what is implied to be kind of a major chord, and then resolving it from a whole step below the root back into the root. That's the first part, right? Now making it explicitly C major. So use these chord voicings how you will. Make sure you use open strings. It always helps things when you're able to voice things with open strings, make things like a little janglier. All right, I hope everyone enjoyed the video.